At first, the conflict exists outside in how others react, in what they say, or choose not to say. But over time, something changes. It begins to move inward, and what once felt external becomes something internal. There is a kind of shame that does not ask to be seen. It does not speak loudly. It does not demand attention. It exists quietly, in the background of thought, in the pauses between words, in the space between what is felt and what feels safe to express. It is not always tied to actions. Often it is tied to emotion, to feeling something that does not align with what the world expects. And because of that, it begins to hide. Not all shame is visible. Some of it has no clear explanation, no simple reason that can be easily understood. It appears when internal reality collides with external expectation, when something deeply human does not fit into a clear category, and instead of being explored, it is pushed inward, quietly. Over time, this changes something. Emotions are no longer experienced freely. They become filtered, measured, adjusted, not to understand them better, but to avoid being exposed. Because at the center of silent shame is a fear that is difficult to ignore, the fear of being seen, and more than that, the fear of being misunderstood. Because once something is seen, it can be judged, simplified, reduced, defined in ways that remove its complexity. So it stays hidden, not because it is wrong, but because it does not feel safe to reveal. And when something cannot be shared, it does not disappear, it becomes heavier. Because it is carried alone, there is no place to release it, no space where it can exist without explanation. So it remains internal, unspoken, and slowly, that silence begins to shape behavior. Words become more careful, thoughts become more guarded, conversations become more selective, not out of dishonesty, but out of protection. Because not every space is safe for complexity, and not every person is willing to understand it. So instead, it is managed quietly. But even in silence, it remains present, not always visible to others, but deeply felt. And over time, something else begins to happen. The outside world becomes internal. The voices that once came from others begin to echo from within, creating doubt where there was once clarity, until eventually a question forms: is something wrong with feeling this way? But emotional reality does not always follow expectation. Feeling something complex does not make it wrong, it makes it human. And maybe the shift begins there.